Hey, what's up? I'm Darkbblue, aiming to enable everyone to enjoy games in depth. Now let's talk about interactive combat in Elden Ring. Interactive combat means you allow enemies to attack freely and try to address each incoming attack. There are two other ways of combat, which are buff stacking combat that tries to tank or one-tap, and controlling combat that tries to stun lock enemies. This shall be the topic of future videos, and now we only focus on interactive combat. Suppose you are faced with a new boss you've never seen before and now you decide to fight it interactively. Basically, you can follow 4 steps. First, observe how many attacks this boss can do. Then understand the rules according to which different attacks are chained together. Next, find out how to evade each attack. And finally, decide how you counterattack. The first and last steps are easy. You can simply use a shield to observe all attacks, and the way of counterattack largely depends on how you evade. When evading with jumping attack becomes a natural choice. And when evading with a shield, guard counter will be the way. Given the simplicity of the 2 steps, the rest of this video will be focused on the other 2 steps. You will learn that enemy attacks are not random but obey certain rules. By understanding the rules, you can better predict combos or even influence how enemies may behave. You will also learn that you have many methods for evading an attack beyond the basic dodge rolling. With the advanced evading methods, interactive combats can be much easier. Now let's talk in detail attacking rules. There are 2 types of rules. Internal rules are internal logics that combos need to follow. Some attacks can be used at the start of a combo, but other attacks can only be used amid a combo after a certain other attack. For example, Mesmer has a throwing flame attack which serves as a combo starter. Quite a few different combos start with this move. The other type of rules are external rules, basically how you can influence enemy's move. If you stand in a certain direction to the enemy, for example behind them, some specific attacks might be triggered. If you stay very far away from or very close to the enemy, some specific attacks may also be triggered. For example, the double slash of Godfrey will chain into a longer combo if you stay in front of him, but will stop early if you move to his back. And the gravity threat of DLC Radon will only be used when he's far from you, and you'll never see him use this move when you stay close. If you combine the 2 rules, you will understand the concept of influenceable combo. Given the same combo starter move, which usually is random, there might be more than one possible following combo, but which combo to use usually obeys our rule number 2. For example, when Malenia uses the Spark Slice, you can get away from her in order to lure her into thrust, which creates longer window for counterattack. Now that you understand the attack rules, you can gain 2 benefits. One is that now combos are more predictable to you. When you see a combo starter, you know that only a small part of following combos might happen later, so you don't need to mind the other combos that won't follow this starter. And if you have more understanding of how your position can influence the combo, you can also better predict what's gonna happen based on the current situation. The other benefit is that it's possible now to make enemies use the attacks that are good for you. For example, quite many combos of Bale can change into a downward breath if you stay close to its head instead of dodging away. And after this breath, you can guarantee a jumping attack. Therefore, if a combo only gives you a smaller window for counterattack, if it ends normally, you can instead lure it into this downward breath for a larger window. But if a combo's original counterattack window is already larger than this, you might want to let it finish normally. With the attack rules being clarified, let's now move to evading methods. Basically, there are two things you need to know. First is that Elden Ring allows no less than 10 methods to evade an attack, and your basic dodge rolling is only the most basic one. Use an advanced evading method can quite often make the fight easier. Then of course you might want to know how these evading methods are exactly different from the basic rolling and when to use what. And that's what you will learn in the rest of this video. Let's first analyze the basic dodge rolling, which has three noticeable properties. First, it gives you iframes, a time interval during which you are invulnerable to any attack. The most basic way of evading is to cover an incoming attack with this iframe window. Then if you roll several times in a row, their iframes won't entirely chain together. There are vulnerable holes between the iframes, which are called recovery frames, restricting your ability to dodge successive attacks. Lastly, when rolling, you don't stay in the same position but cross some distance. This distance is also important, which can send you away from the enemy to its back or in some other directions that may be beneficial. For example, it's many players' instinct to roll towards an attack instead of in the same direction as this attack. This habit helps your hitbox overlap with this attack for a shorter time, so that it's easier to cover it with your iframes. The basic dodge rolling has the three properties, but they are all very basic. Naturally, most advanced evading methods try to enhance one of the three properties. So first we have minor enhancement to iframes. Wind Crystal Tear, Crucible Feather Talisman, Quick Step, Bloodhound Step, Dynast Finis, and maybe some others. These evading methods give you slightly longer iframes compared to the basic rolling, and mostly don't significantly change the other two properties. As a result, they can be used pretty similarly to the basic rolling, except of course being much easier to dodge an attack. I think gargoyles are a good illustration to this type of evading methods. Gargoyles have many attacks, largely because they can use 4 different weapon types, making it hard to memorize their entire moveset. However, their attacks can be dodged quite intuitively, as there's no intentionally slow attacks. So I tend to simply fight them with my instinct than memory, but the large moveset makes me make mistakes from time to time. In this case, a minor enhancement to iframes can greatly reduce the chance of making mistakes when intuitively dodging an attack. Another example is the rolling attack of Scent of the Bud. It's a bit hard to dodge this attack with the basic iframes, but Wind Crystal Tear makes it much easier. Next we have major enhancement to iframes, where Raptor of the Mist and Vow of the Indomitable are the two common choices. They have very long iframes, but in exchange the recovery frames are nerfed. It means that they won't be able to dodge some quick consecutive combos that can be dodged even with the basic rolling. This method can be very useful in two cases. Some slow attacks can be, theoretically dodged with the basic rolling, but it's hard to get the correct timing. Then you can benefit from these long iframes to make the timing easier. And sometimes an attack lasts very long, such as the slam attacks of the Furnace Golem. This is also where long iframe evading methods can play the role. After two types of iframes enhancement, now we have enhancement to distance. Quick Step, Bloodhound Step, and Wind Crystal Tear to give you light roll, which doesn't require a skill slot. Apparently, distance enhancement is beneficial when longer distance is welcomed. Gargoyle is also a good example here. They often sidestep or backstep, making it hard to chase them. So Bloodhound Step will make it easier to hit them. I know that longer distance is not always beneficial. Sometimes, such as the case of using Bloodhound Step for mid-run, It in turn makes it harder to hit him because I move too far away when dodging. Next, let's move to enhancement to recovery frames, backstab, and spontaneous guard, both introduced with DLC. Generally, enhanced recovery frames give you 3 new capabilities. First, it allows you to evade quick combos that cannot be evaded otherwise. For example, the cross slash of DLC Radon, before being nerfed, is too quick to be dodged using the basic roll. But both backstab and spontaneous guard can address this combo easily. Second, now your counterattack is also faster, allowing you to attack during smaller windows or deal more hits in larger windows. And finally, if you mistakenly evade a slow attack at the wrong time, you may have the chance to evade it again later at the correct timing. This won't be possible with the basic rolling because at the correct timing you are still recovering from the first rolling. However, note that iframes are often reduced when using recovery frame enhancement method, especially backstab. It means that it actually can be harder to evade an attack at the cost of the 3 new capabilities. Additionally, spontaneous guard has some other unique advantages beyond the general capabilities of recovery frame enhancement. It has very high damage and stance damage, and there's a slow counter feature. Basically, after guard, you can wait for a short time before doing the counter. For example, if you don't spend much time memorizing the combo rules of Mesmer, it can be hard to predict if a combo has finished or not. Slow counter gives you time to observe and confirm if the combo has finished before safely doing the counter. This feature is also helpful against Mother of Fingers because the combo can randomly stop early. Another advantage of spontaneous guard is that you can stack its bonus if you guard multiple times, so a longer combo also means higher damage when you finally do the counter. In base game, longer combos often have longer post-attack window as a fair reward, but this doesn't always hold in DLC, which is really annoying. Now with the stacking feature of spontaneous guard, you can get the reward. With the spontaneous guard being said, let's also talk about the basic guard. Guarding with a shield is the easiest way to evade an attack, which requires no timing at all. Usually your counterattack when using guard is guard counter, which has motion values roughly similar to charge attack, which is actually pretty decent. Therefore, guard counter can do a lot of damage actually. However, when guarding with a shield, you can only use the counter by one-handing the weapon, so the damage is lower than two-handing weapons with spontaneous guard. Guard is not always feasible. It needs 4 requirements. The stamina damage of the enemy cannot be too high, the damage type it deals should be purely physical, the damage level of its attacks shouldn't be too strong, and when you guard counter, the enemy shouldn't be able to dodge. So if you really want to use guard against strong bosses, you can also use weapons that can attack behind the shield. Attacking while guarding makes sure the boss won't be able to dodge your attack. However, this strategy deals way less damage than guard counter. So far we are talking about gears that can enhance your evading ability, but in fact there are evading methods that don't require a gear. Jumping can be used to dodge low stance attacks such as ground slams while allowing you to use jumping attack as a fake counter. In fact, when jumping, the lower part of your hitbox becomes invulnerable and this iframe is longer than the basic rolling. You can also manage to get behind enemies or duck, such that your hitbox is entirely out of the hitbox of the attack. In this way, you don't need iframes, and you have more time for counter. Generally, these methods are easy to perform if you know they are feasible. But finding which attacks can be dodged in this way is hard. At last, let's talk about parry. I only parry when one of the 2 requirements is met. If most attacks of an enemy can be parried intuitively, parry is easy. Bow-bearing hunter is an example. The other case is that you can adjust the enemy's move such that you only need to parry 1 or 2 attacks. The veteran in Castle Saw is an example, where I can lure his dash attack by staying far away. If neither of the 2 requirements is met, parry would be considered as a challenge instead of an easy evading method. Then what's the advantage of parry when it's easy? It can interrupt an ongoing combo, which is especially beneficial in the following case. Let's say the enemy has a very long combo, the last few attacks of which are hard to address. However, during the early section of this combo, an attack can be parried pretty easily. Then you can parry to interrupt this combo so that you don't need to mess with its later section. Now a final conclusion. There are quite many evading methods, each with their own advantages. The basic dodge rolling is not that strong but requires no extra resources. Minor enhancement to iframes, major enhancement to iframes, distance enhancement, and recovery frame enhancement. You can also choose from shield guard, jump, low stance, and moving to behind, and parry. Then let's put them back to the big picture of interactive combat. Follow the 4 steps: observing attacks, understanding combo rules, selecting suitable evading methods, and finally deciding how to counterattack. I hope this can be helpful. If you want to join me into depth of games, remember to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, see you around.